Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Nicole. So like I mentioned in my previous video, this video is gonna be about books. So yeah, today I am going to share my thoughts on 4 books that I read from toward the end of last year to this year April. So out of the 4 books that I read, 3 of them are paperbacks and 1 of them I read it on Kindle. So I have it here with me, as well as the other 3 books. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to talk about today, and I'm very excited to share what I think and feel about these books. So if you guys are interested, please keep watching. And also, not sure if you guys have noticed, but I dyed my hair back to black because I am very tired of having to keep redo my roots because it grows out really quick, and also because the purple dye fades out really quick. So I am just so tired of having to redo my hair like every 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, should I wear my glasses? Maybe I'll look a bit smarter with it, or maybe not. Okay, I'm not gonna wear my glasses today. But so just before I get started with this video, I do want to mention that I am not majored in literature. So like whatever content that I am going to talk about today is just my opinion, and like I said, I'm not a professional. So some of the stuff I am going to talk about in this video are like the stuff I read from the books, and also some of the information I found on the internet. So like this video is just gonna be my thoughts as a 22-year-old on like these 4 books that I read. And since it's not like a book review, and also because I'm not majored in literature, it's just me sharing my thoughts on the books. So I won't be like going over all the symbolisms, like all the analogies used in the books. And essentially I just want to share like some of the books I like with you guys, and hopefully you guys can resonate with the story or the experience. I hope that's the case for you guys. So yeah, that's I really do hope that you guys find this video to be helpful, because I do feel like some of the struggles and things I would experience in life are quite similar, especially because I think among like the similar age group, people have like similar struggles and they go through similar experiences in life. So I do hope that like some of the books I share in this video are helpful to you guys. Yeah, so I'm talking too much for my intro again, so let's get started. And yeah, I'm gonna show you guys like the 4 books that I'm going to talk about in this video. So like I said, 3 of the books are paperback and 1 of them is actually on Kindle. Can you guys see? Yeah. Also my Kindle, The Alchemist. So I do have my notes with me because I feel like I should briefly like describe why, like my thoughts on the books, because I feel like I might forget if I don't write down my notes. That's why I will be looking at my phone screen sometimes, and I hope you guys don't mind that. So the first book I want to talk about is The Alchemist. So this book, you guys already know, it's like a classic and also one of the best sellers. So I think I was supposed to read it back in high school, but somehow they changed, like my teacher changed the book list, so we ended up reading other books instead of reading The Alchemist. But I think, like I said in my intro, I won't be like going over like all the symbols and analogies and like all the things and details in the book, because like this is not a book review. I am just simply sharing my thoughts and what like I think and feel after reading the book. So with The Alchemist, I think maybe I had so much expectations because everyone's saying how it's such a great book and everything, and also because it's like a classic and one of the best sellers. So I did have a lot of expectations when it comes to this book. When I read it, I feel like maybe because I'm not smart enough, also maybe because I'm not like majoring in literature, so like I don't really understand like maybe some of the underlying meanings. But I did read some articles online, and here's what I thought about the book. So I think the main message from the book is that people should follow their dreams. So I think the author puts a lot of emphasis on pursuing your personal legends by following and listening to your heart, as well as listening and following the language of omens. So I do notice that the author uses a lot of like omens and like signs from the universe throughout the book, and I think that's like really interesting, especially if you are like you are someone who believes in nature and the universe. And I do feel like it's a book that I need to keep going back to read and study, because I feel like there are a lot of messages and like just so much more that I need to learn from the book, because we all go through different stages and experiences in our lives. So maybe I will learn something new and understand something new when I go back to read it again after, I don't know, like after a few months or like a few years. And also I think one of the reasons why this book is so important, and also like why it's one of the best sellers throughout so many years, is because this book actually demonstrates like struggles and lessons that a lot of people experience in their lives, such as wanting to give up and not going after our dreams because of like unknown fear in the future, such as like what if I fail and what if I am not like competent enough. So I think that's what makes the story so relatable, because I think there are a lot of times that we second guess ourselves. I think a lot of people are scared of the unknown and failure. So yeah, and also the book shows that throughout the journey, the main character, the boy Santiago, he meets different people and encounters different situations throughout the book, and it just shows out how all these people and all these experiences that he encounters actually help him to learn things and grow as a person. So I think it's like the development of the character and how he changes throughout like the book and his journey that really shows how we as humans, we transform and we learn new things, we grow as a person throughout our life. So I think that's what makes it so like classic, because that's like one of the classic scenario, like the message in a lot of books like it's just so interesting to see how all these characters develop throughout the book and the story. So I think it's definitely a book that I will want to go back and read again, because I feel like there are always like new things waiting for me to learn and discover. So yeah, if you are someone who believes in like the universe and like signs from the nature, and if you are like someone who's really enthusiastic about going after your dreams and your passions, and I think you will really like this book. Especially if you haven't read it yet, I definitely recommend you to read it, because I feel like you won't regret reading it. And yeah, and the second book I am going to talk about is this book called The Courage to Be Disliked. So I got this book and it's translated into Chinese. So the reason why I got it was because it was such a hype a few years back, and so I feel really bad saying this, but I got this book 3 years ago. I actually started reading this book last year and I finished it I think in February this year, and I feel like I have always procrastinated just because I feel like it has a lot of like philosophical concepts that might be hard for me to understand, and that's just what I thought in my head. But like actually reading it, I feel like the author is really straightforward. Like he explains like the theories and the concepts in the book really well, so it's actually really easy to follow and understand. But essentially I'm just gonna read you guys the notes that I wrote down for this book, but I won't be going through like all the details and the important concepts in this book. But essentially the author uses this psychotherapist theories to like help this young man. Like in the book, I think in this book the young man represents everyone, whoever's reading this book, and like a lot of theories and the concepts that the author focuses on are from this psychotherapist named Alfred Adler. So he's among one of the like really well-known psychotherapists among like Sigmund Freud. And so with his theory, he puts a lot of emphasis on individual psychology, meaning that every individual has a sense of inferiority, and that essentially all human behavior is driven by striving for superiority, meaning that all humans are constantly working toward overcoming that sense of inferiority and striving for superiority. So this book, if you guys are interested, I highly recommend you to get the English version, because I actually read the English version sample on Kindle, and I just think like the English version is so much better than the Chinese one. Because like I'm not criticizing or like judging whoever translated the book. I think the translator did such a wonderful job translating all the text and like all the story, because that's like a lot of work. And I think I really enjoy reading this book. But the only complaint I have about this book, not the book itself but like the translation, is that I feel like some of the words and the way like the translator translated this book made the tone sound a bit harsh sometimes, and I don't like, I'm not a fan of that, because I feel like because like it's essentially like a book, like we all picture and interpret all this text in our own way, like the tone they use, how they talk, their facial expressions, what the characters look like. but I feel like the tone could be really harsh sometimes, and I don't like that. But whereas in the English version, I don't see that kind of vibe, whereas in the Chinese version, I do feel like the tone is too harsh sometimes. So if you are like bilingual and you're thinking about getting this book, highly recommend you to get the English one. Please, if you can, just get the English version. And I think it's also like much easier for you to find like the information on the internet if you just read the English version, because you can just type in the keyword and you can find whatever you're looking for. So this book has, I think it has, yeah, it divides like the whole book into different nights. So there are 5 nights in this book, and every night the philosopher will like talk about a new theory and concept to challenge the young man's beliefs. So I am going to share some of my favorite nights in this book with you guys. So the first one is definitely the first night, and in the first night, the first chapter, there's a section that's titled "Trauma Does Not Exist." So I find the concept and the theory to be very interesting and challenging, because I do think the concept that the psychotherapist he shared at the time was very revolutionary, because it is opposed to the mainstream psychology theories, which are usually heavily focused on Freud's theories on traumas. So like starting off the book, like the philosopher talked about how the psychotherapist thought that traumas don't exist. It's a very challenging and a very revolutionary concept, and I do think that when I first read that part, I was like so surprised, because I had never heard of anyone saying that. And I was like, what do you mean traumas don't exist? Because like I said, I do think that the mainstream psychology theories are like heavily focused on Freud's theories on traumas, and like how your past experiences shape the person that you are today. But according to the psychotherapist Atlas theory, humans are not determined by the past experiences themselves, but rather the meaning people give them. So it is not to say that our past experiences don't contribute to who we are today, but that we have the control and power to choose and determine the meaning that we give to the past experiences. So in other words, people have the power over their lives by choosing and determine the meaning that they give to their past experiences, rather than being controlled by the past experiences. So rather than saying, oh, because this happened in my past, so therefore I am the person, like I'm this person because of whatever happened in the past, his theory suggests that despite whatever happened in the past, it's all in the past. What you have right now is the power to control and to choose what you want and choose the meaning that you give to your past. And so there's a differences between determinism and teleology. And one of the nights I really like is third night. It's called the separation of tasks. So it's also another really interesting concept that, like, I find the whole separation of tasks, this concept, to be very interesting, because like I feel like some people might say that if you are doing this then you are being selfish. So essentially what the whole separation of tasks mean is that people are responsible for their own lives. If some people are living their lives for others, then who's gonna live their lives for them? So essentially, you should be living your own life for yourself rather than seeking validations for others. Because if you don't get to live your life for yourself, then who's gonna live your life for you? And it is important to know the significance of separational tasks, as there are things that we can control and things that we cannot control. We should focus on our own tasks rather than taking other people's tasks, because trying to change others and trying to take other people's tasks are none of our business. It is their own job to work on their own tasks. So really, people need to identify their own tasks and roles first, and then they need to identify other people's roles and tasks, and then separate all those tasks so you can just work on your own tasks and step other people to figure out their own stuff and like let them work on their own tasks. Because if you are trying to work on other people's tasks, it's like you are trying to control other people, and it is not right because it is not your tasks. So just work on your own and focus on your own. That's essentially what the third night is about, and like not seeking validation and recognitions from other people, because you are the one living your own life and not other people. And I think so I wish I read this book earlier, because I think I read it at the right time, because I was going through stuff, and I think it really helped to make me really realize that it is true that things happen in our lives. And like, I really don't want people to think that what the author mentions in this book is to invalidate your emotions and your past experiences and like your feelings and thoughts, because I really do think that's not the case. I think like as I grow older and as I like, you know, still trying to figure things out, I really do come to realize that things that are not necessarily good do happen in our lives. And it's true that we all go through all these difficult emotions and feelings and thoughts. I don't want it to sound in the wrong way, but I do think that at the end of the day, it does take more courage to get over things and just to let it go. And I think over the years I have like been so hung up by my past, and I kind of forget and lost sight of what I have right now at this moment in my life. And like I really don't want to take things for granted. I have come to realize that yes, there are things that happened in the past that made me really hate myself and really made me doubt who I am as a person today. But I have learned to let it go and realize that it kind of depends on the perspective that you use. So maybe like seeing things from like different perspectives really helped me a lot to get over things and just not be so hung up in the past and just move on, because I am happy with where I am today, and I'm so grateful for everything that's ever happened to me. Having a YouTube channel and like having people supporting me on YouTube, having people who care about me in my life and all this stuff. And I think me being too fixated on the past wasn't really helping me to appreciate what I have in life, and like it wasn't really helping me to be happy and excited for the future. So I do think reading this book really helped me a lot to realize that sometimes I just have to let it go, because I do think there's a reason why those things are in the past, because I think it's really just time to let it go and to realize that you do have the power to control and choose the life that you want. I'm not saying that you can choose to be a billionaire, then you can just turn into a billionaire. No, what I mean is that I choose to not to be someone hung out in the past. I am actually really grateful and looking forward to like all these new challenges that I will be taking in the future. And I think this book is really worth a read because it has so many like different interesting theories and concepts that you could learn, that you don't usually get exposed to on social media and news. Because like I said, I do feel like the mainstream social media and news and like just like psychology theories in general are like so heavily focused on Freud's theories, and I do feel like there are many resources talking about Adler's individual psychology theory. Maybe there are, but I'm just not aware of that. But if you guys are interested in his work and just how to like just to, you know, if you want something to challenge your beliefs, then definitely read this one. It's called The Courage to Be Disliked. And yeah, the next book that I will be talking about, oh my camera, is this book called The Binding. So I came across this book when I was in a bookstore, and I wasn't looking at this book at first because I was just like looking at like other books, and I saw this book on the shelf, and like I don't want people to judge me, but I only got it because it was on sale. And I was reading like the description, like a brief storyline, and I thought, oh, this looks really interesting. And also because the cover is blue, so I got it. And I think there are many different like pros and cons with different books, but I think out of like all the books that I talk about today, this one is definitely my favorite. And the book is just like, it's so fascinating because it has so many pages, and like all the look at this text size, it's so small, and like it has so many pages. How many pages? It has 438 pages. Like, how long does it take to go through the whole book? And like I think I finished this within a few weeks because I really enjoy reading this book. I just love the way that the author writes. Like it's just so, the way she writes is just so beautiful. Like I am gonna read some of my favorite quotes from this book, and like I dog ear like the pages that I like with the quotes that I like. So like I dog ear so many pages, and I actually wrote down like the quotes, and I'm gonna read one of my favorites to you guys. So it's page 295, and the quote goes, "Perhaps I heard my name the way we hear singing in the wind, because we want to find meaning in meaningless things." Like that's just so beautiful, and I absolutely love how like the author writes, like just so good, and the story, it's just so good. I think because like there's always just so much tension in the book that you just want to keep on reading to find out what really happened in the book. And I think throughout, like somewhere around like the halfway through the book, I knew like there's a plot twist, but it's a really good plot twist. And I think it's just so good. Like if you are looking for like a new book to read, I highly recommend this one, The Binding. I think other book covers are like navy or like black, but for some reason the one I got is just light blue, and it's so good. Like, I highly recommend this book to you guys. I don't have much to say about this book because it's like a fiction, so like I don't want to spoil anyone, but if you are looking for a book, please read this one. It's so good. And yeah, I really don't have much to say about this book because I really don't want to spoil you guys. I think it's the only... Oh yeah, no, it's actually the second fiction I talk about today, but really, please read this one. It's so good. Please, this one. Okay, so that one's really short because I just want to tell you guys how good it is, and it's just so good. Please, I can't stop saying that because it's just so good. I have never read a book that just made me want to keep on reading so much, because whenever I'm reading a book I always look at how many pages I have left, but with the binding I just kept on reading. Like, I don't even care how many pages I had left. I just wanted to keep on reading because it's just so fascinating. Okay, the last book that I am going to talk about is Atomic Habits. Cliche or not, but yeah, I think one of the most common things that people read about is habits, because habits are so hard to build up, and I think it's just hard to change in general because we are habitual creatures. So I actually don't really know what to say about this book because honestly I think this book overall it's just so straightforward, and if you read the book like I think his writing style is just so direct. He just gets to the point, so it's so easy for his readers to understand like the points that he's trying to make. And I love how he like divides Atomic Habits into four main sections with like different laws, with the first law being make it obvious, the second law being make it attractive, and the third law being make it easy, and the fourth law being make it satisfying. So I do think like some of the like methods he mentioned in the book are just really useful and practical, because I think whenever people think about changing habits and like picking up new habits, people always think, oh, it's like an all or nothing kind of thing. Like, either you go really hardcore or you just don't get it. But he actually talks about how all these small changes that you can implement in your daily lives could actually help you to build a new habit. And like, it's not like what most people think that habits need all this like so much effort and so much dedications. Like, you just have to do all these small changes, like, and then they will slowly build up, and eventually you will get there. So one of the section that I like is about environmental design, and I think that it's just so interesting, and the habit stacking. But if you are interested in like books about habits and changing your habits, I do really recommend this one. And I do think there's a reason why it's one of the best sellers, because like I said, I think his writing style is so direct, and you can just read it and you know like what you have to do, and you know what he's trying to say. Whereas like some of the other like habit changing books, self-help books, they talk about so many things, and after you read it you kind of you're still kind of confused about what you have to do, but this one is just so straightforward and easy to understand and implement. So highly recommend this one as well. And that's all I have for this video, but I just really want to say that, like, I cannot emphasize enough about how much I love this book, because it's such a this book is just so good. Like, if I have to recommend one book to you guys out of all the 4 books that I talked about today, it is definitely this one. It's so good, you guys have to read it, and I just love the way she writes. So that's all I have for this video from a non-professional 22-year-old person. And let me know what you guys think, if you have read the books I talk about today, or like if you are interested in reading them. I hope this video is helpful, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And I hope you'll have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys next time.